Hey everybody, it's Extra Stroke here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. It is hot, it is humid, there's probably another storm on the way. I've been out here building some AN hose ends, and I figured I would take a little break here. And believe it or not, if my counting is correct, I believe we've got KC Tool Haul number 10. Crazy to think we've been through that many. This one maybe not as extensive as our others, but nonetheless, got some good stuff, and as always, tool of the day is what lured us in. So, let's go ahead and get started here. That's right, we have the exact same Wera Flyer we've been seeing since prior to Easter. I'm getting more and more tempted to try out the Jokers, but I kind of wish you could pick your own 4-piece set for $79. I realize, you wouldn't want to just max them out, let people do that, take the biggest sizes. But that's kind of my hold up there. Nonetheless, that thing's been seen and repeated. Now, let's just go ahead and get started here with this. These are free. These are in and out of stock quite a bit. I believe they've now added an option where you can download the digital version. I am kind of old school, and I prefer the in-hand, the physical copy, if you will. And then, of course, I can go online, check, see if there's anything new, enter the part numbers, search about it in that manner. But what we have here at the top is a catalog from Knipex. This one's good for 2019. What this is going to allow me to do is come in, and when there's something that I want, I can analyze it and see exactly what we have. Funny, I would open up to this page on one of the second flips, because you will be seeing a little bit more about this just in a little bit of time. But without spoiling too much, theirs is pretty plain Jane, down to the point, fairly efficient, I guess you would describe it, and it is going to be really nice. I found somewhere in here, flipping through last night, their hose clamp pliers, which are super cool. They're also super expensive, but if you are on the fence about any of their stuff, if you're a big fan, highly recommend you pick these up. Again, they are free. Catch in this one, it is distributed by KC Tool. So we've got that to look forward to, add to our library. Now, if you're looking at this one, and you're thinking, oh, that's colorful and collective, what is it? Well, trained eyes might have already spotted it, but this is a Hazet Catalog for 2019. And this one is pretty in-depth as well. I've enjoyed flipping through it. It will definitely help me out. I've found with Hazet and Stahlwille, they tend to be the most complex part numbers, like Wiha, Wera, you look at 2 or 3 screwdrivers and a ratchet and you can kind of figure out how they do things. These are kind of a more complex number, like you got 163-119/23. It's sort of starting to make a little bit of sense, but having the catalog in hand, being able to go through, having this, a list of their ratchets, the different styles, the different handles, the tooth count, kind of invaluable if you're planning on making a purchase, because again, what sucks more than anything is you'd come in and you say, man, I really want to try one of their 1/2-inch drive ratchets, and you spec one out, you order it in, and then as you do that, the next time you visit a website or you start getting ads from cookies that have been placed, you see one for a ratchet that is in fact superior and for a lesser price. So that's kind of what we're aiming to avoid here. Theirs is pretty comprehensive. There are some unique things in it we'll take a look at a later date. I kind of have those videos planned out, but you can sort of learn a lot about the product lines. I've got a couple of pages tagged already for future reference. Now, going along with that, we've got the catalog. This one from Wera. I've got to say, Knipex is just kind of straight and to the point. The Hazet one, you sort of get like a little filler. There's just, I guess, kind of a more extensive product line. They have a wider range of offerings. By the way, Hazet, if you're bored, pull up their cockpit. It's their tool trolleys, which are absurdly expensive over here. The cockpit is over $1,000 not loaded, $2,000 plus when you actually load it out with tools. It's essentially a toolbox that attaches to one of their trolleys, and then you can pull it off, and it's kind of like a mobile box. Very, very cool in concept. It's one of those things I would love to bring in if it was like $300 in that ballpark, not loaded. But the price point it's at is kind of prohibitive. But again, if it's a rainy day, if you're killing some time, check out Hazet's cockpit. Very cool little deal. Now, speaking of cool, this catalog takes the cake for the fanciest. What else would you expect from Wera? Again, I've always considered them, based on my experiences, to be the sort of pushing the envelope, Sometimes it's a really clever idea that's great and wonderful. Sometimes it's terrible. Sometimes it's, that's pretty cool, but it's not useful. But they are always pushing the envelope. I love that about the company. And check out how easy it is to navigate this catalog. I'll bring this up so you can kind of see it and appreciate it a little bit better. Got your screwdrivers at the start, of course. What else would come first, right? You can see the jokers, the hex keys, the bits, all down the line. And again, this is... I've noticed with Wera, they've kind of got like some repetitive stuff. Like in the screwdrivers, they'll come in and they'll have little side flyers here with tips. And they will talk about the handle style and, you know, what the black tip is, what this is. And you'll see it over and over again if you flip through the whole section. Basically, by the time you're done scanning it, you will sort of have a very good feel for their ergonomics, their tip styles, why they do some of the things they do. And once again, all of these are free. You can pick them up from KC Tool. I know many of you will prefer to have things structured a little bit differently, an online route. For me personally, can't beat that. We've got the Wiha section, we've got these. I'd love to get a Stahlwille catalog, but it's always been out of stock whenever I've tried to get one. So hopefully we can land one of those coming up. But going with that theme, anyone know what that is? 1/2" NPT to 8 AN. If you guessed so, you were correct. And you win nothing but the satisfaction of knowing you were right. So, on this order, we did breach the $100 mark. That got us this nifty KC Tool sticker pack. There's 11 pieces. I've covered it in previous videos for the sake of keeping things short and sweet. We are going to stop there. Now, right here, got just a bundle of goodies here. But we're going to get started with a bit of things, because as you know in life, there are many things you can work to accomplish. None more noble than attempting to acquire all 24 KC Tools Wiha bits. For the longest time, this was all Felo stuff. You just got a number 2 every single time with stamped Felo and KC Tool. Pretty cool and useful. Now, however, they've spiced it up, and they've done a set of 21. Dadgum, I got a T30, which is fine, but I've got a T20 and a T30, and I guess, using common sense here, we're going to need number 20 to get that T25. That said, these are pretty cool because they are titanium bits. And again, I don't know what the logic is. I don't know if Wiha's wanting people to know these are out there, if they don't move, if they're just wanting to get them in people's hands so they repurchase them when they find that they love them. No clue, but it's very, very neat. And again, this is number 21 of 24. For those of you scoring at home, I think we've got 3, 8, 11, 19, and maybe 23. So something of those, you know, maybe knock one off or so. But I think we have 21 and 19, and with this being a T30 and I think 19 is a T20, I'm assuming then style 21 of 24 will be a T25. So pretty cool. Let's go ahead now. It is getting so terribly hot in here. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this down. I put the door back down. There's some mowers running in the distance. Let's go ahead and knock this guy out. This is from Wiha, and this is going to be their socket adapter, and it is going to be part number 77741. If you recognize those 3 7s, yes, it is Ultra Driver specific. This is quarter hex to quarter square socket adapter. Sets you back all of $3.45. Let's go ahead and drop this thing out. Well, should have had this side for you, I suppose. So there it is, everything I just said, 77741. But essentially, if you recall, the Ultra Driver's got those special custom length bits. That's going to drop in the Ultra Driver, and then on this top side, we can now run quarter drive sockets. There is an Ultra Driver that comes with a set of quarter drive sockets. If you're already equipped with some mobile quarter sockets or something around the workshop you're going to use there, this is just going to allow you to use your Ultra Driver with those sockets. I'm not quite sure if that's going to plug into the handle or not. I assume that it would, but we will check that out in a later video. So, coming up next, we've got some items from Wera. 2 of these are the same, and 1 of them is not. I'm not sure if I accidentally added it to my cart twice or I thought I would need it, but if you can't tell what they are, we'll start with this one. And let me double check the part number to the side. We're going to go with 050205. This is going to be a male quarter hex to male quarter square drive 50mm long power tool adapter. That's going to be the lingo Wera uses. Basically what this means I can take this end here, I can throw it in my impact, and then on this side I can put quarter drive sockets. Thought this would be a nice little addition, and again, it was priced really well. I felt at $5.01. No quick release, nothing crazy, just, you know, simple, efficient, and down to the point. So you can kind of see Wera, it is upside down there, but I thought it would be a worthwhile addition. Again, I was kind of running into some issues. I don't think I've got to mention this, but I did free the bit from my Wiha bit holder. And, I was really happy about that. Now, this is going to be roughly the exact same thing. Why is that sticking out like that? That can't be right. Oh boy. I think we've got a problem, and luckily I've got two parts here. But this is essentially the same thing. We've got our quarter side over here for our impact, and then the square drive here is going to allow us to run 3/8 sockets. Again, I do this when I shoot lag screws, anything light duty, and that sucker is protruding. It is not recessed, and it is not mobile. If you pay attention to this one, see how much shorter that is? Yes, I know it's quarter drive, but think of sockets, and if I come in and I can articulate that all the way down, okay, so it's underneath my thumbnail, it's flush, you can hear it springing. This one is busted. I don't know if that happened in freight, if it was just a defect, if I can get it reseated, but I cannot push that sucker down. So we'll pull out a big hammer, but luckily I've got this one over here. The part number is 050215. These cost $6.67 each. And I could tell from the packaging when I looked through this one actually does seat properly. Again, you can kind of see it articulated there. And again, all that is to hold the socket with your detent, right? So these are the exact same thing, both, you know, basically allowing me to use my impact with 3/8 sockets. This one is correct, this one is incorrect. See how much farther out it is? And it's putting a divot in my thumb there. So I think what I will do, the back end of this video, we're actually going to be able to have some stuff out that might help us with this. So these are sort of the small parts. We got our bit of things, we got our sticker pack, we've got our Wiha drive adapter here, which I think will come in handy. Specifically if you're heavily invested in the Ultra Driver, I think this is a no-brainer. You don't necessarily have to spring for the one that comes with the sockets, but for example, those Wera sockets that I picked up a while back, if you've got some old Craftsman stuff, some old SK or channel locks in a little tin pack, that will be a very nice thing to have handy. So we're going to leave this guy out, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the mat here so we can maybe focus a little bit better. Get my NPT fitting off. Now, I don't think I've showcased this before. Isn't that weird? This came with a plyo box that you will have seen me messing with in the Stahlwille Screwdriver video. But I thought this was just kind of interesting. I'm assuming this is Chinese. It was cool they included it, and gloves for what that's worth, but I have never seen something quite like that. Kind of like a drive lock end here, of course, it just stops where it wants to, but I thought that was worth showing. And then right here, I think this was my busted one. I was able to fix it, I believe, last weekend, so I was really happy with that, because like I said, I carry a backup just in case something stupid happens, and something happened and then I needed a backup to replace this one, but I was able to free it. All is good in the hood. But we're going to take a little quick break here, bring in the rest of the stuff, and see if we can fix that as well. And we are back right here. If you think, hey, that looks really familiar, what is it? Well, it's the Knipex Keeper. We've already showcased this. I told you that I liked it so well I was going to bring another one in. That's exactly what I did. I believe this is in the Father's Day section. I'm not sure if they're on sale, but then if you add Dad15 on your checkout when you exit KC Tool, you can receive an additional 15%. I could be mistaken, but I want to say it's on that tab. But this thing, the part number, let me see if I can find it for you here. It is 9K009011US. I know it's somewhere on here. But this is just a really cool deal. Again, just to kind of recap it. 7.5 by 12 inches, 190 by 300 millimeters if you prefer metric. Keep your stuff together in a Knipex Keeper, a bag as tough as you are. A great bag for your money, toys, papers, parts, supplies, lunch, lottery tickets, bottle openers, and oh yeah, tools. So, if I recall, there was a nifty little quick release back here. Won't spend a ton of time on this guy. Again, we did that in, I believe, tool haul number 8, right? If I'm not mistaken. It's clean, simple packaging. throw that to the side. Again, I'm not a seamstress, but this is stitched very nicely, and this is a material that I've had good luck with, kind of like the old JanSport backpacks, I guess, would be the best way I could describe it to you. The coolest thing, 10-inch Cobras fit, 10-inch pliers wrench fit, anything smaller fits. So as I was saying, you know, I'm kind of having an issue in the truck when I was throwing together my cheap but good toolbox. Toolbox was $8.97, cheaper than virtually everything else that it holds. The problem is it doesn't fit between the front bucket seats and the rear bench at all. And I was thinking of downgrading it, kind of getting like a sort of a flat pack rigid or Milwaukee box. And as I was thinking about it, I've never been a big fan of tool rolls, and I've started to see more and more beauty in them. So this little sucker here, it is nifty, it's cheap. I believe I paid, without the discount, $12.89. So very functional, very cool, I have to say. Moving on, we're going to step in over here, and we've got these beauties right here. These I know definitively are, in fact, in the Father's Day section. Again, they're on sale, but when you check out, if you use the coupon code DAD15, you get 15% knocked off. Currently, though, they would retail for $40.16 on the sale price. Part number is in 13869-200. That 200 should tell you these are 8-inch heavy-duty side cutters, but these are their special ones. These are their Fantastico Plus. So, of course, they've got the classic NWS soft grips, which you either love or you hate aesthetically, but I think anyone that holds this in hand is going to tell you they like it. I've had zero complaints on these. The pliers I've been using the most that I've taken to work, just so I'm not limited to weekends and after-hour stuff, are plain Jane NWSs. They don't have this grip, and I've still not had issues with them. I keep waiting for something bad to happen. But these, if you think of our Wiha bi-cuts that we've brought in, which I really, really like, so much so that I bought the industrial soft grip as well for comparison purposes, this is kind of their equivalent. You can see there, this is radically different from your standard NWS side cutter, which you would basically have the top end here transitioning out into a normal configuration. These have got kind of a funky little box joint going, not quite Knipex style, but still pretty neat. And then the FX3 there, and you can see it's saying piano. That's for piano wire. I'm not quite sure, like I do a lot of industrial stuff, and I don't know if that's a European thing. I've never in all my life dealt with, had suppliers, anyone try to sell me piano wire. Everything I've dealt with is aviation cable. Throttle cable, you know, like on your car that always breaks at inopportune times, that's basically aviation cable. And in fact, that's what I replace it with. So I would just kind of go that route. I have never in my life cut piano wire, at least that I can't remember. Rod, aviation cable, braided cable, all kinds of other things. Now, the limitations with these is going to be that is your max opening. So if you've got anything that's going to be a bigger diameter than that, which, to be fair, I think you'd be okay. Most chain links that you would be cutting with something this size would fit. Any cables or anything would fit probably, I'd say, in the bottom third of the jaw. That's kind of the extent of these. I think a lot of people that might be disappointed with this type of a cutter are overloading it type of a deal. If you're cutting thick, huge lengths of chain, you need like a bolt cutter or something proper for the job. That said, I'm excited to try these out, kind of see how they compare to the Wiha units. Plus 50% there is their claim to fame. German Tool Reviews has a pretty cool video on these. I believe the Wihas, and I want to say the Knipex Supercuts, which I'd love to pick those up. I'm kind of waiting for a sale. It's kind of the similar design on the Knipex stuff there. It doesn't have the power button, if I recall, like the Wihas, but I'm excited to see how these go. And this might be something, if I kind of like it around the shop, I might actually take it to work and put it through the paces there. However, $40.16 is a really good price. 15% off of that is kind of hard to pass up, which is why we didn't. Last item. This is from Knipex, as you should be able to tell. This was the tool of the day. This is why I went ahead and pulled the trigger, brought everything else in. And where is it listed out? It's got to be somewhere. Dadgummit. There it is. Knipex K090224. Again, that's 0902-240. These are 9.4-inch Linesman's Pliers. These, of course, have the two component handles from Knipex. This is exactly how they came to me in that plastic. And these are the honkers. These are the big ones. These are what the Europeans typically don't carry things this big. This is the American style, if you will. The reason I was interested in these, one, I wanted to see how they stacked up against my Kleins, which I use quite a bit, and two, it's kind of their big linesman, right? You don't have much bigger than this. The third selling point, and you've seen me in old videos talk about how I prefer a crosshatch pattern on jaws. That's exactly what these have. I don't believe that I own anything else Knipex, and I don't believe that I personally have seen anything else from Knipex. Again, that catalog is going to be very useful for this. But these have cross-hatched jaws. Now, the channel locks that I really like, that I always brag about, how good they grip and how I prefer them, they actually have cross-hatched jaws. That's what I prefer. I can see the benefit. There's times I would not want them for particular tasks. There's times, which is the majority of the time for me and what I do, that I would. Now, these don't close flush through the top side. Now, it's not a big deal, truth be told. I don't think I would ever be grabbing anything that small. Now, the blade itself does in fact close all the way, which that is what you want. If you could see gaps through the blades, brand new, that's when you're kind of concerned about quality control issues. But unless we were to try to grab paper, which, let's just go ahead, we've got this Wera bag. It's still, no, it doesn't hold it very well, but right there, you know, I can just slide it in and out of the jaw. That's what the gap is. Now, when would you be using 9.4-inch long Linesman's pliers and demand that? I don't know. Some really finite cable stuff, if this is all you had, you're dealing with like LED lighting or something, maybe that would give you a hard time grabbing and pulling. But if you are in fact using like 26 gauge wire or something along those lines, I would assume you'd have something smaller in the bag or on the work site. So of course, this is the style. It's got the grabber down here as well. There is one you could get with the fish tape puller. Personally, for me, I don't really have to do that very often, so this is going to be more than sufficient. As with all things Knipex, so many times you see people complain about Kleins, you know, particularly like Europeans picking them up for the first time, or people kind of upgrading their like Husky, Cobalt, Craftsman tools, and they're like, man, I would like these, but they're so stiff you can't use them. Look at that. I mean, these are out of the bag. I did play with them a little bit last night, but you can't ask for more than that, realistically. So, but these are their granddaddy. This is the Knipex Linesman. That's actually the page that we opened up to. I love, personally, their two-component handle. The color scheme does not bother me at all. I found that they stand out very well. I'm excited to see if it cuts good. But what I want to try now, this is my little broken Wera deal, right? That does not retract at all. So these Linesmans are going to be very nice size for this. And I'm just going to put some... Fixed it! So, again, if you had small, even like slip joint combination pliers, that would have been a little bit of a chore. This is a 3/8 square drive, of course. These huge Linesman's pliers fit right over that thing. I simply put light pressure on it, which I could not do with my hand. It was completely insufficient. It's kind of binding a little bit, but I'm noticing that it still articulates good, and basically what it means now is it's functional. But again, you can see how easily these big pliers can get around that 3/8 square drive, and that's all I had to do. I didn't put any more pressure than just that initial contact. Fixed it. Beautiful. And that's exactly what I was hoping would happen when the thing was broken. So, what I want to know, and I've talked to Ben, he's over in the UK, he's got some pretty cool collections actually of Knipex stuff, and he confirmed, I mean, the big Linesman's pliers just aren't that popular overseas. If you, let's say that you and your wife are renovating a kitchen, or you're upgrading, you just bought a new house, and you hate the lights above the bar, right? And you don't want to do it. It needs to be a licensed electrician type of a thing. Virtually anyone that comes in, and they know what they're doing ahead of time, a Ring doorbell, you know, simple light change, whatever it might be. Oftentimes they'll get the lights for you if you tell them what they are. they're almost all going to come in, and in their bag they're going to have Klein screwdrivers. They're going to have big, even if it's a simple little job, they're going to have the big linesman's pliers. Now at work we use all sorts of stuff. Kind of, again, depends what we're doing, but I'm excited to see how I like these. Again, the big difference right off the bat is just how easy they are to articulate. These NWSs, to their credit, very smooth as well. I did notice last night, let me try this, bear with me, we're just zooming in. There was a spot right there, do you see it? And I don't know if that was something that happened when they finished it out with this Titan finish. I don't know if it was like still wet and they shut it and it caught, but if you listen, okay, you're not going to be able to hear it. I wasn't worried about it not being focused for you, but there's kind of a drag, and I think it's from that right there. Now I feel like, I mean, you can feel it. It's a definitively raised area where you see that blemish. I think I could come in and hit that with a grinder and smooth it back out. It doesn't affect the functionality of the pliers at all, but I thought it was worth noting. And then I'm hoping that we can get a better look at the crosshatch. Bear with me, there was a sweet spot, right? No. It gets it, and then the lighting just is kind of killing what we're doing. I think it's because that's got the chrome finish on it. Right there, hallelujah. That is what I'm talking about when I say crosshatch. Again, if you look at a typical pair of pliers, it's going to have the serrated teeth that are going to go straight across, you know, kind of mimicking thread on a bolt, which again, there are many advantages for that. In my personal experience, everything I have used, I've got some really ancient pliers at work. They're like CTCO. I've never bothered to pull it up. It's the letter C and then I think TEE, if I recall correctly. But they have crosshatch jaws, and they always hold so much better. And then my favorite little pliers over here, the 318 CBs, which I've used the snot out of these since I picked them up. Crosshatched, right? And they're covered. They've got a ton of material. I've used them for all sorts of crud they shouldn't be used for, probably. But that soft material gets stuck in there. That's how good they grip. I think I could just brush it out if I wanted to. But I love crosshatch jaws. Now, I don't know if Knipex has linesman's pliers without, and in fact, let's make use of the catalog before we get. Recognize this page, it's where we accidentally opened up to. This is it. This is going to be their linesman's pliers. I believe we're on page 1 here. There's some combo pliers. Again, what that little design there is, serrated lines, that shows the jaw teeth. When we spin over to the linesman's pliers, note, instead of it being the straight vertical lines, we've actually got the crosshatch indication there, right? So I guess your base would be 901-240. That's again going to have just the plain Jane handles. 0902-240, which is what we have. It's got the crosshatch, plain jaws, and then it's just got, you know, the kind of holding area at the backside. 0902-240 BKA, I believe. Does that have the cutter, I think? Then we've got an insulated handle. And then down there we've got a crimper, and once again you got the crimper and the tether in the 2-component handle. So you can see right there they're showcasing the crimper, the fish tape puller. We've got the crosshatch knurled gripping zone for firm gripping and pulling. Example for fence construction. And then they've got long cutting edges for cutting flat cables. So just having this catalog handy, for example, let's say that you came across this pair of linesman's pliers and you're like, that's awesome, but I really like their, you know, comfort grip. I want this pair. Maybe you track that down, but then what if you order this in just like what we got, and then you realize there was a pair that had the crimping? You know, maybe you never ever used the gripping on the backside of the handle, but you would have made use of the crimping. You're not going to be too happy. With the catalog in tow, it is easy, it's clean, it's simple, and it breaks everything down for you. It shows the handle, it shows that the head is polished, like maybe you don't want linesman's pliers with a polished head. Well, you come in here and you're like, okay, I guess Knipex, that's all they're going to offer me, type of a deal. So again, that is sort of the beauty of the catalogs, in my opinion, and most importantly, in case you missed it, those are free. And the catch is you got to find them in stock. I know many of you will prefer digital, or you'll accept digital if they're out of stock and you really want to pull something up. I'm old school. I like having them around, like thumbing through them, checking things off, making notes, bending tabs on the pages, and it works out well for me. So This time around, we got our Knipex Keeper number 2, which I'm thinking I'm going to throw in plier wrench cobras, a couple other miscellaneous tools, and just kind of have that in the truck. And it's going to let me know, hey, this is my good stuff. And we'll have that route. It'll fit nicely under the rear seat. This would fit in center consoles, glove boxes, you name it. And that is a very cool addition in my opinion. Picked up 2 of these Wera Impact power tool adapters for 3/8 drive. We got one that's 1/4 inch drive. We got our bit for the Wiha Ultra Driver that's going to allow us to run 1/4 drive sockets. And that's about it. Hazet Catalog, super cool. The Wera Catalog, kind of over the top fancy. But again, those are just something, if you're investing in these tools, if you sort of enjoy bringing them in, trying out new things, if you're wanting to upgrade, if you, say, got these exact pair of Knipex Linesman Pliers on Tool of the Day, that's your first jump into Knipex or German tools in general, and you love them, and you're thinking, okay, you know, I'm outfitting work with these. Get the catalog, check it out online. It's so much easier. Then you can come in, you can throw in your part numbers, find it on KC Tool, and go to town. So that's just my advice, tip of the day, I suppose. But if you have used these, let me know how you like them, how they stack up with what you've used in the past. Similarly, if you have these NWS Fantastico cutters, I'm excited to see sort of long-term usage. What I plan to do is actually see how I like these against their standard side cutters, which I'm not sure that I have. That might be something we have to bring in. I've got their combination pliers with side cutters, but many times at work, I honestly kind of need a needle nose plier that's a side cutter, is really what I need, because I'm having to cut a lot of small, finite stuff in confined areas. Case in point, wire mesh. And the bigger, the bulkier the head, the bigger of a chore it becomes. So a lot of times the tool of choice is like a Channellock 909 and the Klein equivalent. They've got the smallest profiles to actually get in and nip things. But I'm still waiting. Maybe someday somebody will make one, or I'll find it if it exists already. But for the time being, trying to sort through it all. But hey, that is that. No, it is not. What am I saying? We've got more. We've got much more. Where is it? Right here. It was under my paperwork. Aha. And you thought we were done here. Oh, no, no. So, let me just throw this down. And this is going to be fairly simple for you. But important. These are all important additions for us. In the video where I tested out the Stahlwille Screwdrivers, I was pretty happy with that setup. And honestly, I just feel like a number 2 Phillips is the most simplistic for me to test. And additionally, I believe that it is going to be something that I can repeat, and it's going to be very common, at least here in America, and it's a nice starting point. So, what we have here, and again, I can't believe I nearly forgot these. I thought, man, I can't believe I didn't bring in a screwdriver in this, and I was like, wait, I did. And, like I said, just had it sitting around over there. Let's get started with this guy, because it is the cheapest. This is Felo. It is basically this guy, which this is the stubbiest stubby I've been able to acquire. If you're not using an offset screwdriver, this is your guy. I'm planning on checking around, seeing if we can find something possibly a little smaller. This is kind of like their cheapest handle. Part number 170228 is a number 2 by 4-inch Phillips screwdriver. And that is it. It's got the hanging hole, the poly handle. It slips quite a bit in hand. Not quite up to par with their wood handles or ergonics, but wanted to bring it in, have it for when we test out the Felo handles in detail. Coming in next, let me grab this guy. With Wiha, this right here would be the bread and butter. This is what the vast majority of you will bring in to test out to see if you like their handle style. This is a classic Wiha soft finish number 2. Again, 100mm 4-inch shaft, if you will. A step up from that is going to be right here. I want to point out it's got the size indicated on the cap, I should say. It's the exact same driver with one minor detail. It's got a hex bolster. Part number on this one is going to be 31202. It's going to set you back $11.29. So we'll have that kind of in line for you. A step up from that, if you are sold on the soft finish, if you absolutely love it, we've got this guy. Now, you're thinking, okay, what's the deal? Well, 531, you've got the hex bolster. If your eyes are keen, you'll think, that looks a little bit longer than the one that you just had. That is correct, it is longer. When I spin this around, there's no designation because this is a striking cap screwdriver. Wiha, in fact, does make a striking cap soft finish. A lot of people, you know, just seem to think it's the micro finish, but that is incorrect. They've got all three of these styles. This is more expensive than the micro finish, actually. It is going to set you back $14.72. Part number will be 53115. So, if you come in and you love these, you don't have any need for the hex bolster, you certainly don't need it to be striking cap, and you just kind of keep these on the workbench for clean, you know, professional installer final jobs, but you need the beater, you need the workhorse. That's what this would be. This is from their micro finish line. As you can see there, it's got the long hex bolster, just like our extra heavy duty one down there. Again, number 2 Phillips, 100mm shaft, striking cap screwdriver. This one is going to run $14.31, the part number 53410, and this is kind of helping me complete the lineup of Wiha drivers. So essentially, in their terminology, this right at the top would be soft finish. All right, this is heavy duty, or soft finished. Yeah, soft finish, heavy duty, with the hex bolster. So hex bolster equals heavy duty in Wiha terminology. This next one, which is our striking cap with the hex bolster as well, that is going to be extra heavy duty. Okay, and then this, of course, is going to be extra heavy duty, just like that. It's just soft finished versus micro finish. So there you have it again: soft, heavy duty, extra heavy duty, and extra heavy duty micro finish. So if you were going with extra heavy duty Wiha drivers, if you're doing anything nasty with them, I might be inclined to go this route, particularly if you're buying them individually. I think you might come out cheaper. But I don't want to spend a ton of time here. Obviously, we're going to do an ultimate, you know, test and compare type of a thing like you do with the Stahlwilles. Wiha and Wera, though, just have so many freaking handle styles. It's a little overwhelming. And again, that's why I brought in their catalogs. But, again, this is going to be your bread and butter driver. That has a hex bolster, striking cap, and right here. I do want to take time to point this out. If you pay attention, you'll see that this driver, the tip here where my finger is, doesn't come all the way to the body of the driver. That is because of the difference in length in the hex bolster. This one's just a little bit longer. If I bring these over to the top and get them side by side, I think you can see there, it just extrudes just a little bit more. So with that said, my apologies. I thought we were getting this video done pretty quick, and then I realized I did buy screwdrivers and I haven't showcased them. So there you go. We brought in a couple more screwdrivers. Again, these are all going to be used kind of for our, you know, ultimate comparison across the brands. And I'm excited to test these out. Going to put these through the paces, see what we think of them, how we like them. I'm super glad that our Knipex Linesmans, they've already paid for themselves somewhat because they fixed this guy for me. Maybe we could have hit it on the table, but I think that's slightly more professional route, just to squeeze it and see what happens. But anyway, this is it. KC Tool Haul number 10. Got some pretty cool stuff. Let me know what you think if you've used any of these. Also, how many more of you picked these up on Tool of the Day? $36.99. That was an absolute steal in my opinion. These are typically going to be like 65-ish, somewhere in that range, kind of on a knocked off price. So that was a really, really good deal, I thought. But I will quit rambling. As always, thanks so much for watching. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can check out the forum. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you've got anything to add, any first-hand experiences, any thoughts, feel free to leave them in the comments section. If you'd like to support the channel, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, and just maybe, after you jump through a couple more hoops, YouTube will let you know that I do in fact upload every Saturday morning and sometimes during the week. So I will leave it at that. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you back here with more action from the shop.